How are you? Good, how are you? Good. You're here for the Baird Avenue project?
No,
No,
the grants.
the grants. Oh, yeah, all right.
Kelly is coming tonight.
She is. She said she'll be here right at 6, and Warren also confirmed. So we should have 4.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, just nothing coming up. There is an ordinance drafted already that, so see what happens with that. Yeah, I think they're trying to figure out what they want to do with all the members of both boards. They want to, pick like 3 from each board and combine them, or if they just get rid of the zoning board altogether. Members. Yeah, and the problem is, the mayor appoints the planning board and the town council appoints the zoning board, so there's like this power struggle between the two. They all want the power.
Well, for the planning, it's mayoral recommendation and council approved,
Yeah,
right?
yes, the mayor
It's-
appoints,
Is it the same? Is it just the
it's the opposite.
opposite?
Yeah,
I mean, kind of split.
well, I don't know, he wasn't here today. Just want to make an announcement soon about the continuation.
Good evening, everyone. We haven't begun our hearing yet, but as people are entering into the gallery, I just want to make an announcement that if you are here for the project located at 114 Barrett Avenue, that project on the agenda tonight will be, they've requested to continue, so that project will not be for tonight. So if you're here for 114 Baird Avenue, that project will not be presenting tonight. Minutes from January and February get distributed.
They were,
Or
yeah, they should have been sent out on Friday with the packets. It was late because I had neurovirus all week last week. I was so sick.
Oh, wow.
It was awful.
Was it? Yeah, yeah. I'm sure.
And I was on vacation too, so I ruined my whole vacation. Too, any day. He didn't, so we thought he had food poisoning because he never got it, but it lasted for 5 days. Both me and my. Yeah, you know where from it. We were in a hotel.
I didn't see them. I just saw the agenda.
It was labeled as number 1 agenda.
Traveling sick as it's funny, my wife left early because she called her mom. I had her pick her up, and I was too sick. I didn't want to go home. I think I was gonna make it home without. I was new. It wasn't that far, but you know, her drive was falling up. Too many together, the things, revisions. And I have a few myself, other than that. Yeah. Or, you're on that side, sorry. I put you on, away from everyone. Exactly.
Hey, guys. Sorry, Steve. My apologies.
How are you?
How are you? Ooh, look at you.
We're on 6, so we put me on
Oh, okay. Yeah,
nobody usually puts baby in the corner.
but he talked to me like right in front of my face.
That's right, it's about here, it's about us.
I don't know if he
I'm the
can-
minority, they got me over here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hello,
hey.
Mr. Chair.
Are you ready? All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us at today's North Providence Public Planning Board meeting located here at 2000 Smith Street, North Providence, Rhode Island. The time is 6:04 PM. Date is March 12th, 2025. I ask that you join us in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance
to the flag of
the United
States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. We'll start off by taking attendance of the planning board members. We'll start on my right.
Warren Richatelli.
Lou DeLucchio.
David Parenti.
Morris Salvatore Council.
Steve Patassi.
Brent Wiegand, Town Planner.
Okay, thank you. Item number 2 oh, no, I'm sorry. Item number 1 on our agenda tonight is the approval of the meeting minutes from our meeting dated January 29th, 2025 and February 12th, 2025. They were distributed by our town planner. Has everybody present here at the board had a chance to review the meeting minutes? Does anybody here at the board have any corrections or comments regarding the meeting minutes? Do I hear a motion to approve the meeting minutes for January 29th and February 12th, 2000,
Can we do one at a time?
one at a time?
Please.
All right, we'll start off with January 29th, 2025.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Riccitelli has made the motion.
Second.
Mr. Patassi has seconded the motion. Just call vote for, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Do I hear a motion to approve the meeting minutes for February 12th, 2025?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Riccitelli has made that motion.
Second.
Mr. Patassi has seconded that motion. Call a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed. Second on tonight's agenda is request to combine continuance to the April 9th planning board meeting for the project located at 114 Baird Avenue, Assessor's Plat 24A, Lot 110. Brent, can you provide a little bit of background on the request that the applicant has to continue the?
So again, that's 114 Baird Avenue. The applicant has requested a continuation. They weren't able to get the quite lengthy list of items that the planning board requested at the February 12th meeting. So they still need one more month. So they'll be working on that and hopefully coming back April 9th at 6 p.m.
I would just ask that the planning board condition the approval on written agreement that the time will be extended from the attorney.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Conditioned on.
Yeah, conditioned on the attorney, the request from Brent to the attorney.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion is passed. Third on the agenda is the comprehensive plan. It's a public hearing, which was continued from January 29th. The intent is for a recommendation to the town council regarding the new draft comprehensive plan of North Providence. Our town planner has distributed the comprehensive plan to all planning board members with appendixes A and B. And I believe we have a presenter here today.
Sumara from Weston and Sampson is here.
Good, how are you?
So Weston and Sampson was hired by the town of North Providence to update, sorry, Susan Mara, M-A-R-A. Okay, I'm a planner from Weston and Sampson, and we have been working on the comprehensive plan with Brent and his team. So we started late 2022, and so over the course of, the last few years, we have pulled together existing conditions information about the town. We have held multiple public hearings We have done a survey, there's been a website up, so we've engaged the community, sort of understanding what it is they are looking for in the community, using the old plan as the sort of starting point and pulling together, ideas about the vision of the town and the goals and the policies and actions across the 7 chapters. So I'll start just, and I don't know how much in depth you want me to get here, because I know that we've been working on it for a while and then folks have seen it multiple times. But the comprehensive plan is done generally every 10 years with a 20-year horizon. It's intended to set the vision for the town and to also craft these goals and policies and actions in these chapters, which will help to direct the town as it makes land use decisions, as it creates new ordinances, considers changes to ordinances. It makes investment with public money, goes after grants, et cetera, et cetera. You can see this, I like my upside down triangle because it sort of, graphically shows how the process is supposed to work, where the vision in general is sort of forward thinking 20 years ahead. Where does the town want to be? And the way I like to think about it, right, is that we look at the existing conditions, what you have, in your town. And, if you don't change anything when you go from here to here, but if the town's vision maybe is something that's different over here, so what are the levers that you have to push or the buttons you have to press in order to sort of change that? And those are evident in the action items that we recommend, changes to ordinances, policies, et cetera. So the vision starts up here, and then the goals support the vision, the policies support the goals, and then the actions support or sort of like a very specific action plan that the town can take to move that forward. And we have worked with the community over a series of public meetings where we went through and talked about, what do you want to see, in the community? And we proposed, our action items and got feedback from the community on those as well. So the next page, there is a vision statement, but these were some of our overall, guidelines and strategies. And while we were looking at this, and so North Providence is a city, it's a town of neighborhoods, right? And so I think that like a lot of the residents were, have lived in North Providence all their life, and they like living here. Their kids are continuing to live here. They're very happy with the public services, and that's something that, we kind of found early on working with the public. They have a lot of great recreation spaces. I think the community in general was looking for ways to connect them, either through like just information about, where they are and when they're open, and or, pathways to kind of connect them. And they were looking for ways to support your, existing local businesses. And, again, we heard from a lot of people, they're very, very happy with the level of services, and they really enjoy working here. Been to a lot of public meetings. This was definitely a town where, the residents are very, really enjoy living here and want to stay here and see it grow. So we like working in towns like this. So the chapter 1 was land use. There's 2 goals in here. And these are, not, the goals are generally, pretty vague and pretty open. And as the policies and actions get developed, they get refined. And so I can read them for everyone who's here if you don't have one, but the 2 land use goals are to provide for the future use of vacant lands within the town in a wise and orderly manner, taking into consideration environmental and topographic conditions, development potential, and the need for future space in terms of housing, recreation, commercial development, and industrial growth. And the second is protect and enhance successful commercial areas, including small village centers and commercial corridors. We did look at the success of Centerdale and, wonder and propose ways to maybe replicate that success in other, smaller villages or smaller commercial areas throughout town. That was another theme that rose to the top. As far as housing, there were 2 goals that the community ended on. One is to ensure the town has a variety of affordable housing options for all residents, and to provide services to meet the needs of the different types of households, including those experiencing homelessness, low income, disabled, veteran, and older adults, among others. This plan's been reviewed by the statewide planning, who will eventually be the organization that approves it. Some of these goals are in response to their comments for things that need to be included in here. So I also kind of want to point that out too, and I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end, what the process is for approval. There are a number of economic development goals here. One is related to alignment of your local economy with the SEDS, and that's the state's comprehensive economic development strategy. And that's usually a state requirement, is that your economic goals want to align with those, and that positions you well for funding. Encourage and support economic development to expand and diversify the tax base. Repeat the success of Centerdale, so that kind of comes up again and again, that the residents seem to really like what's happened here, and the vibrancy. Improving the circulation and aesthetics along Mineral Spring Avenue. We did talk also a lot about Mineral Spring Avenue and its challenges and, possible ways to, start, moving the needle towards making it maybe a little more walkable, maybe a little more green. It's a big issue that's not going to be solved with in a short term with one solution. But, the comp plan did include some recommendations about how to think about, improvement. Expand opportunities to link local schools to businesses in the community by offering career days, early internships, et cetera. Support the state guide plan's goal of fostering a more inclusive economy for typically underserved populations. And finally, expand access to resources for small businesses consistent with the goals and objectives of Rhode Island's SEDS. Again, because the state has already reviewed the draft of this, we've molded our goals to make sure that they're in alignment with the state policy, because those were some of the comments that we got. If you're wondering why we have so many goals related to the state's comprehensive economic development strategy, it's because that's a comment that we got back from the state, is that it need to be very clear and intentional about that alignment. For buildings, facilities, and services, one of the chapters is, sort of grabs all of the public services and facilities, and that includes infrastructure and buildings and social services. And I don't know if I need to read all of these, but again, the town was very complimentary of the existing services that the town provides, and the goals and the goals under, these different categories here are essentially aligned towards maintaining the current level of service, and making improvements where necessary. We did, at the state's request, also include some goals around energy conservation and energy efficiency, because those are also required now. And then for natural resources, one of the main goals is to protect the town's natural resources for current and future residents. They had a goal around improving water quality of all the water bodies, stabilizing the town's overall forest cover at its present level, and then including some language about being resilient and resistant to hazards. And you do have a hazard mitigation plan, so we made sure that the goals that are in here will align with that plan as well. So we also included a chapter on historic and cultural resources, and that includes your historic buildings and structures, but also includes groups and events. The photo here is from the Centerdale Festival. Like those are all the sort of things that are in this chapter that, we look at ways to promote them and preserve them. So promoting and preserving these existing, infrastructure and buildings for future generations, doing some work around documentation, preserving information was another goal listed here, as was education. And I think that these goals came from your previous plan as well. So these are goals that were set the last time you sat down and did a plan, and would like to, residents seem to think that they were good goals to continue into the future. Promote inclusivity and preservation practices, and provide educational resources. Actually, that were the rest of the goals for the historic and cultural resources. And then open space and recreation. A lot of the residents noted that that's one of the things that they like the best about the town, is the high quality and the availability of open space and recreation. And so their goals were pretty simple: to improve and maintain and expand, and then to create connections between the resources. And transportation and circulation, they proposed they were looking for a transportation network to support all modes and prioritize safety for all users. And that can include things like making Mineral Spring more pedestrian friendly, invest in transportation infrastructure that facilitates economic development and enhances connectivity, prioritize investments in non-single occupancy vehicles to reduce environmental impacts. And that's a goal that goes towards improving access and usage of transit and bikes and walkability. Develop and implement policies to improve bike infrastructure, ensuring safety and integration with other transportation modes. I think that was also a result of folks talking about wanting to connect the resources and making sure that there are walking paths and possibly, ways to bike between resources and between neighborhoods and resources. Expand and enhance public transit services for all residents' needs, and ensure that transportation infrastructure is accessible to all residents, including those with disabilities. So those are the chapters and the proposed goals. Chapter 9, implementation, we just included some information here. So each chapter will have a very specific table that looks exactly like this. And so we talked about the goals, and then this table will include the very specific actions for each of the chapters that help the town to achieve the vision, achieve the goals that they set out throughout this process. And so next steps. So tonight is a public hearing where the planning board will do a referral, hopefully to recommend approval of the plan to the town council. The plan has already been reviewed by the state. They have received it and requested comments from all the different state agencies. And so we do that so that when it comes in front of you, it comes in front of you in a form that's not going to require many edits. And so once it hopefully gets approved by the city council, it goes back to the state for final approval. But again, they've already seen it and they've already had their comments, and we've already integrated their comments into the plan. So we think that, if there are any comments, they will be minor. Anyway, so the next step, is to vote hopefully on a positive recommendation to the city council to adopt this. It's an ordinance that gets approved by the city council for the update of the comprehensive plan.
Thank you for summarizing that extremely long document.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's big. There's a lot of data.
And also preparing it. I know you gave us the highlights. I have just one question before I open it up to my peers. Ms. Mara, can you just kindly explain the public workshops that were facilitated in the preparation of this plan?
Sure. There were two major ones. We held them at the Governor Nadi facility, and they were evening meetings. And so the first one was, we put the word out, and Brent and the chair of the advisory committee did a opinion piece in the local newspaper to try and get people to come. We sent emails out to the planning board and zoning board and advertised in town hall. And so the first one was a workshop. We did a presentation similar to the beginning of this presentation, where we talked about what the comprehensive plan is and what it's supposed to do. And we broke into small groups, and we talked about, we went through and had a group discussion of what are the things that you really like about your town, and we recorded that. And then what are the things that you maybe would like to improve about your town, we recorded that. And then just had a general discussion in terms of, what the comprehensive plan process means. When we came back to them a few months later, we had put together goals, policies, and actions that spoke to those strengths and weaknesses that they had identified in that initial meeting. And we did also start with an overall presentation and then broke into smaller groups. And we had they were able to see on, on a big format, like those tables of what the proposed actions would be. And, give us comment on, that's probably not going to work anymore. Maybe it's something that came from the old plan, or, we think that this one, is really important. And so we got feedback on the specific action items from the public at that second meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do any of my fellow board members have any questions?
One
Or-
question I had, when we started doing the comprehensive plan, it was 5 years. Every 5 years it had to be renewed, and the last time, the state changed the ruling, and we're now under, this is good for 10 years?
It is.
Okay, that's it.
I heard 10 years with a 20-year horizon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're supposed to contemplate, what, like, look 20 years into the future in terms of what you're, working towards. The hazard mitigation plans are in a 5-year cycle still.
That's all you have.
Sue, I do have a few changes that need to be made. Lou found several and I found a few just minor typos, like page 9. The lot sizes are describing what was previously the lot sizes in the zoning
Okay,
ordinance.
okay,
Those are a little less now. So I actually have a page if you want it.
perfect. I
Yeah.
will take that.
All
Yep.
right. But everything else is just minor typos. So.
Mr. Patassi.
Yes, I have a couple of questions and comments. On page 4-13 regarding the water systems, you talk about the East Smithfield Water District in the Greystone neighborhood. That, as far as I know, and I could be incorrect, but I believe that was purchased by Providence Water.
Okay, we'll check that out.
Yeah, many
yeah.
years ago. Now, you also cite in here about the pumping station on Fruit Hill. But there was a pumping station for the East Smithfield Water District on North Elmore. That was subsequently, well, that was closed.
Can you say that one more time? Because I want to make sure I get this.
Yeah, it's on, the pumping station was on North Elmore Avenue. But it was closed several years ago by the Providence Water Supply
Okay.
Board. They've been trying to, other measures, they've been taking other measures to increase the pressure in the Woodhaven neighborhood. But that pumping station's been closed, and I noticed in a couple of spots, you mention it, but it's kind of a little confusing.
Sure.
If you could just take another look at 13, 14, and 15, those are the basic 3 pages that discuss that.
No, that's great. Thank you. I mean, this is why we, put it in front of everyone, because you have that kind of knowledge that, hard to get otherwise.
Oh, no,
So
the
thank you.
report was well done. It's just, I saw a couple of things and I'm familiar with that because I live in that neighborhood.
Okay,
And
this is
Steve, thank-
Woodhaven. Yeah.
Steve, thank you. Yes,
you're
go.
welcome.
I just want to say that Susan actually transcribes all of these meetings. So I know you're
Okay.
taking notes, but
Yeah.
we
Okay.
can send you the transcript.
And it's also live on YouTube, so you can watch it over on
Awesome.
online. if you
Okay.
want.
A lot.
Yeah,
What he's-
yeah. No, that's great. That's very, very good feedback. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have no further questions.
Open up to the
So
public.
we'll open up. Thank you very much. Ms. Mallon. So at this time, it's 6:29 PM. We'll open it up for the public hearing. For item number 3, review of the comprehensive plan. If anybody here in the audience would like to come up and speak regarding this specific agenda item, you're more than welcome to. Yep. There you go. Can you just kindly state your name and address for the,
Sure.
Record.
Kathy Lanny, 23 Craigie Street. I really just have a couple of questions. I don't know how this works, so forgive me. This is great to see something like this put together. I'm sure it's something you do all the time. Questions I have are, this seems pretty high level and like something that could apply to a number of different cities or towns and all. Is there like a next step where you get to a next level of detail and action plans as to how you're gonna meet these goals? And then how these goals get measured? So for example, for the last comprehensive plan that was in place, has that been summarized? Like, have we talked about the last set of goals that were set and if they were met and those kind of things? So just wondering, and again, I'm not familiar with the process.
So there's it's like a full draft comprehensive plan that has all the details about that.
Okay,
What she gave was a very brief summary of everything. So if you want, we have copies you can take a look at,
that'd be awesome.
or I can email it to you. It's not online, but I can email it to you if you'd like.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll upload it once it's available to upload. And you can access that, or you can take a look at this copy right now while you're here.
You can email it. That's fine. I'll leave you my email address. That's great.
Yeah, so that'll go through, the data, how it was collected. It lists out all the action, and whatnot, so. I don't know
Awesome.
if you
Sounds
saw on
great.
that page, but second to last page, there's each section has this chart that kind of summarizes all the items that they want to accomplish and, the goals, policies, whatnot.
Oh, that's awesome. And then as far as funding, is that generally achieved through grants? Like to do some of this work, like some of this
Various.
varies?
Yeah, it could be anything. So
Gotcha.
this just lays out the goals and what we intend to do.
Gotcha.
And any way we can accomplish it, we will in the next 10 years.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thanks. I'm sure this is a lot of work.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to come up and speak regarding this specific agenda item for tonight? Okay, I'm seeing none. We'll close the public hearing at 6:32 PM. Members of the board,
I think you might. So Sue, do you want to vote tonight or do you want to wait until the state comes back with final comments? You got to come up.
Yes, we have the state's preliminary comments. At this point, we want to approve and submit officially.
And this is a recommendation to the town council.
Correct. Right, we didn't get passed by ordinance. I don't know if that matters.
Yeah, it does. Well, it does get passed by ordinance. I just heard you say that there might be additional comments from the state.
That
So,
may happen, but this is the process that it has to go through. Like some towns don't even send it to the state ahead of time.
yes,
It
I know.
It
Yeah.
needs to get locally approved and then it gets submitted officially to the state. That's how the process works.
Okay,
And in submitting it ahead of time is a
Yes.
measure to try and minimize that, so you don't have to change it enough that it has to go back. Like if it's minor stuff, you can do it without redoing the public hearings.
Okay.
That's sort of our goal here.
okay.
And remember, it's three successive weeks of notice for the comp plan ordinance.
For the council.
Yes.
So, yeah, so Bren, I hope, is working with the town clerk on that.
Yeah, I know you guys know this. I'm just,
Yes,
it's
yep.
easy to miss because everything else is 2 weeks.
Right.
2 times, yeah.
So what Susan is asking for is a recommendation to the council to approve as, as you've reviewed, sorry, tongue twister.
does anybody have anything else they'd like to discuss, or are we prepared to make a motion?
I just want to, Brett, the comments that I submitted to you,
Yes,
They've
she
been- okay.
has them.
that's fine.
Mhm.
Thanks.
So we're looking
Right,
for
right.
a motion to approve, and I would suggest with the comments that you've provided to Susan tonight. So it's kind of a recommendation with conditions. And if somebody wants to make that motion, you can say so, so moved.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second,
Okay, Mr. Patassi has made the motion, Lou has made the second. We'll take a roll vote. Warren?
Aye.
Lou?
aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The motion is passed. for a positive recommendation to the town council regarding the new draft comprehensive plan with comments provided by the planning board made tonight. Thank you. Item number 4. Thank you very much, Sue. All right, I did see some people come in during that presentation. If you missed it, just a FYI, item number 2, the proposal for 114 Baird Avenue has been continued to the April 9th planning board meeting. So if you're here specifically for that project will not be heard tonight. It has been continued. Item number 4 on tonight's agenda is CDBG, which is Community Development Block Grant hearing. Announcement for fiscal year 2025 and fiscal year 2026 Community Development Block Grants. Available funds, requests for competitive application funding proposals. And how many do we have of this? Just one?
So was that?
How many grants are we hearing tonight?
So we're trying to find grants to apply for, so we're looking for ideas tonight.
Okay, how many ideas are we hearing tonight?
I'm not sure. Yeah,
Okay,
whoever's in the audience.
okay. Hi, good evening. Can you state your name?
Yes. Hi, good evening. So my name is Maria Rosa Takuma from CVDG Project Manager from North Providence. Yes, Takuma, Takuma. Takuma. Thank you, Maria Rosa. So the presentation today for the hearing, public hearing, is to be able to announce more formally about the CDBG funding that we do have available for cities and towns. 33 cities and towns of the 39 in the Rhode Island will be able to compete formally for funding from PY23 and PY24, which was the years who will be competing right now. And basically, it is about different funding for different type of projects. So one of the areas that we want to be able to talk about it for CVDG and what is important for the town to be able to pursue to it is they are funding granted for cities and towns. There are actually no entitled communities, which is our case. We are no entitled community. And we will be able to participate for funding in PY23 of $5,429,837,000, $1 million. So in PY24, it would be $5,655,134. So those are around like more than $10 million that we will be able to participate. It will be 2 years of PY to participation because of last year they didn't launch the competition as usually they do every year. Sometimes they do it every 2 years. And the rolling applications, they do have rolling applications in different sectors. For example, affordable housing, which will be an LMH, which is the part of the goals for helping housing opportunities. We did have in the town because we didn't count with that data for here, and we don't personally as North Providence have an office who will be able to help in all of these constituents. So we are doing through the CVDG. So CVDG is one of the tools the mayor have been using in order to supply the needs for the clienteles and as well for the constituents of North Providence. What we do in the CBDG office is to be able to gather people, teach them how to be able to have affordable opportunities for housing and as well renting problems that they have in all this type of items in the housing market. As you know, it's been very fluctuant and it's more harder to be able to afford, rent or buy a house or fix a house. We help them. And we have right here last year, we do a workshop with homeowners, renters, public and everybody else to teach them how to be able to get access to these opportunities, how to be able to, work around with, with the different agencies that we recommending to it. So we using other agencies that we are actually in our toolbox to be able to refer them and help them guide them through the process. That's the part that we do in our affordable housing part. And the economic development part, which is the job creation, and the residential rehabilitation part as well, we refer them to it, and we giving them, to the public regular meeting for it. And this competition, although we have the opportunity to actually change some items that we can be able to do. And this meeting is about to know, heard the public, which projects they will feel that we will need to get attending to it and which ones we want to compete. So I'm the person who was in charge to put together the package to competitions towards to presenting the state federal level so we can be able to get awarded get awarded grants and be able to get the process, not only to compete and to win the funding, but as well to get into the part where I helping everybody who will want to compete, which will be no-profit organizations that want to participate into it, projects from our town that we want to intel as the public that we want to be able to improve. For example, public facilities that we need to get attention to it, or areas of development that we want to be able to enhance in our city and towns. And in that sense, and this hearing is basically so the public will be able to speak. The mayor in February did in the last council meeting in February, he announced about these CBDG grants will coming over. The CBDG grants in February, we have a meeting in the February 11th with all managers of the cities and towns where actually was announced the competitions. Saying that right now we are announcing today, actually the governor McKee actually announced today official the competitions for everybody, even though we are as a North Province very proactive and we already working on it. And the call that we did have in February 3rd with the mayor, and the mayor open to all constituents to be able to participate. One of the constituents who participates is the organization of Forgery. So I will be announced to Forgery. They already developed the project that they want to present. My goal and my job as North Providence CBDG project manager is to help every different group, organization, or member, or get the projects from the city working together, help them to develop that proposal so we can be able to win. And you will see part of what it had been done with them and how we can manage all these projects. And this part, I want to just be able to just mention one more thing, and it's the cap limits. The cap limits is for the applications. We don't have a limit, but we would like to limit it to 500,000 at most, because that's for years that we are participating, that we had more successful applications. So in that public facilities and improvements, the towns, we will have 3 proposals for 3 PY year, which is important for us because we can tackle different areas. For essential services, up to 4 proposals we can be able to get, considered consolidated individual or no-profit requests. For planning, we had 1 proposal allowed to be able to participate. All these proposal has to be aligned with the national objective eligibility criteria, which must be bond and be able to participate and have the required followings, not only to win the project, but as well to develop the project and pursue the project until the end. As well for, so as well, I think that is important to be able to know, because these different categories that we have, we can actually be able to compete and formulate projects. Projects that I've been talking to the mayor directly, and he have interest into it, but you guys are the public, and we want to be able to know which ones are the projects that you guys want to pursue. If there's any other project that you guys perhaps, and sorry, I give you my back, I don't want to give you my back to anybody. Just please be sure that you guys, your voice will be heard. All these projects will be actually condensed together in this gathering today as a hearing. The projects that will be have proposals. Proposals we will do by a date, we have a date of April 7 for all project submissions for public selection. April 7, I received all those proposals and the planning and department envelope seals, so we can open it up, present it to the second public hearing. So the public will be selecting which projects they want to go for competition. The April 9 will be the second public hearing, I believe. Is the April 9 the second?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Brent. And then in the April 9, we will select in here in public which the projects are actually you guys feel in the town or North Providence feel they are already in the level to be presented in pursuit. Those teams, they are selected. I will be personally guiding through, but more thorough in order to competition. April and May 6th, the projects will be presenting to the council for be able to get the resolution approval. And in May 13 is when the town has to submit for the federal and state applications. That's when our applications due. In our order, we will be able to have all the towns participants who wherever are selected in our meeting in May 6th, they will have to be able to giving us all the proposals already. They will be selected in April 9. I'm sorry for the second meeting. And in April, in the end of April, they will be actually be able to provide it to us so we can submit it to the state and as well federal, so we can comply with the May 6 deadline, May 13 deadline.
Do you want to open the public hearing?
Any,
All right, so just to
project-
reiterate what Maria has said so far, this is a public hearing tonight for CDBG. You're able to propose projects tonight that are able to get funding from the state or the federal government, really. To fund these projects, we will be holding one public hearing tonight. If you want to think about it and come back with a proposal, we will be holding another public hearing on April 9th at 6 p.m. And on that note, do you want to open it up to the public?
Absolutely.
And then, I'm sorry, did you mind if I complemented two more items? The projects that the mayor will like to be able to consider from the public, it will be projects in Central Dale area, because he feels the Central Dale area will need some beautification projects, some lighting projects that can be able to use this type of funding, perhaps. Projects for a naughty park, because they need parking back there in that area, and he would like to be able maybe to work into those areas. As well, he would like to be able to see if you guys want to propose any other projects. They have other projects that he feels that is important, but he wants to hear the public. He doesn't want to impose any projects, any
Right.
district business or anything like that. We do have, however, one of the organizations who already proposed one of their projects. So we want to hear from the public. We want to hear from the agency, what is they proposing, and the public will be able to know if this project that this agency is already working, and I have been working with them. That's the first agency come through to asking for the city, for the town of North Providence to help them since a February meeting, last council meeting. So did you mind if you heard them, the proposals? So now you know exactly how that goes, and the public will be see if that project makes sense, as well what other projects they want to suggest.
How many projects do you have prior to the public hearing beginning?
For the public hearing, this is the only so far they have been come to us. And then,
Well, wouldn't they be just
and
part of the
it's
public
only
hearing?
one project so far.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Maria, thank you so much for that explanation. We are gonna open it up to the public hearing. The project that you have, tandemed with is more than welcome to participate in the public hearing. So, with that, 6:50 PM, we're gonna open the public hearing, to, allow, proposed projects to be, heard tonight, that are applicable to the, community development block grant, applications.
Thank you. So I want to introduce first the first
Okay.
project, which will be.
Maria,
Maria,
this is a public comment. So
Good evening, Chuck Pollock, Town Council, District Two, which represents Douglas Avenue down to Maryville. I'm here to advocate for the people of Maryville to get some grant money. We need beautification, we need lighting. We have sidewalks that could use attention, some streetways that could use attention. I didn't hear Maryville mentioned at all in the presentation. I speak for myself, I speak for Councilman Famigletti, who unfortunately couldn't be here, nor Council President Audiello, who's council at large. But we would like to have a seat at the table to represent the people in Maryville. You come into North Providence, Charles Street, Pawtucket, Lincoln. We need lighting, we need proper signage, we need beautification. We need to assess the sidewalks in that neighborhood. We need to assess the streets in that neighborhood. We'd have a little bit of open space, maybe some beautification over there, but we would like to respectfully have a seat at that table so we can represent the people of our district. I didn't hear them mentioned tonight, but I'm here to advocate for that. And I'd like to be, notified of the next meeting and anything we could do to meet with whoever to discuss this in the future.
So along that line, I would like to just make you aware, today, actually, I filled out an application to apply for $200,000 for beautification for the Charles Street corridor. So that's right up your
And
alley.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Simply didn't know that. And I
I can give you updates on that, of
appreciate you doing that, but we would still like to have a seat with some of this grant money
course.
to
Yeah.
have the people in District Two, primarily Maryville, but all of District Two, but we like, I think this was discussed before I got on the council a few years ago. And I don't know what came of it. We have a lot of lighting that's out. We need proper lighting further down Charles Street. Further down Middle Spring Avenue comes from Pawtucket. But like I said, we'd like to have a seat at that table, maybe consideration for some grant money. We can discuss from there.
Right. Doesn't the application get approved by the council?
So yeah, the application will eventually have to be, there's a resolution that's
Right, I
involved.
just want to probably put that out because I didn't hear Maryville mentioned at all. until
Yeah,
you
so,
mentioned it.
yeah, we can propose a
I appreciate that.
revitalization
I
project.
appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
How are you? Melissa Sampaio, Sampaio. And I'm with the Moms of Maryville. We are a nonprofit food pantry on the Maryville side of town. We would just like the opportunity to be considered for the simple fact that, all the big people get considered. There's just two of us, but we're the first ones that the school calls when social workers find out that kids come in with no coats, kids come in with no school supplies. There's food insecurities in the house. We respond that day. We bring them food. We bring them everything they need. Christmas, last year, we helped 225 children. We helped when the school only adopted one child and not the other children in the family, and the parents didn't know where the other gifts were coming from. We helped at Thanksgiving. The mayor was generous this year helping us, but normally we do the funding on our own, and fundraising has been even more difficult since COVID than ever before. We supply them with turkeys. We supply them with an entire basket, not only to make breakfast Thanksgiving morning, the next morning, and their entire meal for that day. We provide them with food at Christmas when they pick up their gifts. So we try to be 24/7 year round. Someone calls us, they need food, within a half hour, we're meeting them, we're giving them food. It's harder and harder to supply food to the families that we're finding. So we just want to know if it's an option for us to be considered.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Hi, state your name.
Kiernan O'Donnell, Kiernan. Kiernan. Yep, last name O'Donnell. Good evening. Thank you, members of the board. I have the pleasure of coming before you again. I work for the Fogarty Center. We're a local 501c3 nonprofit. We have 2 locations in town, one on Woonasquatucket and one on the Charles Street corridor, actually on Volturno Street. And we have successfully partnered with the town of North Providence twice already on 2 CDBG grants in PY 17 and 18. The first one was called Employment First. We support adults, children, and everyone in between with disabilities. And the employment concept was to empower people to be able to be supported to be out part of the working class like anyone else. There's a huge investment that we had spent successfully in training of our staff to have them nationally certified in best practice standards, and also being able to engage with local businesses. It really is a win-win with our 2 customer approach. When we empower people with disabilities to be part of working class like anyone else, we're lessening their reliance upon both state and federal subsidies and funds, while they're also paying into the system by way of taxes and also creating economic stimulus with the money that they earn, spending it in the local businesses in our community. So we thought it appropriate to pursue a sister grant in PY 18 called Travel Training. And this was to enable people to be as independent as possible, going to and from the places that they actually work in the community. It also helped free up capacity with our team so that we could serve more people, both within the greater Providence North area. And especially during the pandemic, kept people out working in essential businesses. So we're very proud of those initiatives and the success, again, we've had partnering with the town of North Providence CDBG. We're very grateful for both the mayor's support as well as the town planning board in the past. And we really look forward to continuing our partnership, to which I will pass it off to Heather, our COO, and talk about PY 24 and PY 23 funds for infrastructure. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Heather Alge, A-L-G-E. And as Key said, I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the Fogarty Center. We're going to be talking about our application is specific to the building that we refer to as the Picillo Building. Is the Picillo, it's P-I-C-I-L-L-O, Picillo. It's located at 2 Volturno Street in North Providence. So we, as Key had mentioned, we're the largest nonprofit agency in the state providing support for people with developmental disabilities. We were established in 1952. We had a grand 70th anniversary a couple of years ago. We brought everybody in. But we were originally started as a grassroots effort by families of people with developmental disabilities who needed support services. We named the agency, we dedicated it to Johnny Fogarty. He was a congressman who he took human service legislation to a whole new level on the federal side, which we definitely benefited from in Rhode Island. In 2017, the Johnny Fogarty Center combined with the Ocean State Community Resources to merge into the company that we know as today, which is the Fogarty Center. We provide support to over 2,300 people with developmental disabilities, in which we have a workforce of 4,000 employees. So over 70 years, we have shifted our services to meet the needs of the people we support, as well as to support different changing styles within the state and the country. In 2020, during the pandemic, many traditional center-based congregate care day programs closed their doors. At the same time, the state of Rhode Island was also engaged with a consent decree with the state, with the state of Rhode Island, the Department of Justice, to further community supports and employment services for people with disabilities. So in 2020, we closed the doors to the Picillo building. We did keep open, we lease a portion of that building to a daycare, a child daycare. So that remained opened, but the portion where we had day services did close in 2020. We have decided that we want to return, and we have since returned to them. So what we're hoping for with the Pacillo building is we have really two goals. One is we want to centralize our clinical support team. So our clinical support team, up until very recently, within the last month, they were located at multiple offices throughout the state. We might have a behavior specialist at one location and a nurse at another and a community liaison at another. And while we love email and Zoom and all those types of things, we did see a significant value to bring us all under one roof. And so we did that. We actually all just moved in probably about a month ago. And it's great. We have lunch together. We strategize things that you would never be able to pass along over email, have been really nice. We actually all went out last Friday for drinks and apps over at Arigna, and that was a lot of fun to welcome into the community. So the other goal is to bring back our day services. We are hopeful that we can do that within the next couple of years. The reason why it's going to take us a little bit of time is because, again, day services have changed over the years. Traditionally, day services would be congregate care. You might have multiple people in one room doing some type of in-home activity or in-building activities. Today, day services are much more person-centered. They're one-on-one, oftentimes very community-based. Many times we are really just kind of looking for a location for people to maybe touch base in the morning, see what they're going to do for the day, go forth in the community, maybe stop back at lunchtime and then go back out again. So it's really nice to have an opportunity for that. So in doing so, the building traditionally has been large classroom style rooms. We would be looking for things that are smaller and really more specific to the task that the people are going to be working on, whether it be computer building skills or maybe a sensory room, opposed to just group rooms. On the third page is a copy of the current floor plan for the building. The blue side is the original portion of the building that we built in 1988. And then in 2006, we had some significant support from Senator Reed to put an addition onto that building. The addition, which in this packet I do refer to as the east side of the building, that is what we currently lease to a daycare. There are some specs on here regarding the construction date, the square footage, the occupancy. I did just want to mention the occupancy is an estimate, as we have not utilized many of those rooms over the years. And so we have recently reached out to the town to bring someone out to get a more accurate number on there. But there's a little bit of information on here as far as where the building is located. So again, it's at 2 Volturno Street. There's a church right across the street from us. It's right along the Canada River. I don't not live in North Providence. I actually commute from Hopkinton every day, and so I'm learning it all myself. I mispronounced Maryville many times, but I'm getting it. So it was really nice to hear past presenters and the town council member talk about wanting to beautify the area. We agree. I think that there's a lot of potential. I did note in here, I looked on realtor.com just to get some more background information, and it seems like there's a lot of potential there. My office is there now, and it's very quiet. I see geese walking by my office every day, and it's very nice out there. Okay, so on the next page, we're just talking about stage 1, how we centralize the clinical support team. So the portion shaded in purple, that is the area of the building that we renovated for that stage 1. We actually started planning last summer for it, and then construction started last December. It went very quickly. We were able to move in early February, so we've been there for about a month now, and it was fully financed by the Fogarty Center for that project. The next 2 pages are just some before and after photos. So It can give you just a little bit of taste about how we were able to transform this portion of the building. We've been using the building ever since then. Many of the people that we support who live in our group homes or they have apartments nearby, they've been coming by. We had a number of people stop in today, and it's so nice to be so close to the people that we support. As Key had mentioned, we do have the building on Woonasquatucket as well. So that has always been a nice area, but I think just in Rhode Island, it's so nice to be at an arm's length from everything. And so people have really appreciated having the space on Volturno Street. So for stage 2, that is where we are coming in with the CDBG request. So for stage 2, we want to bring the day programming back. Again, on this presentation, there are purple shaded areas to show you where I'm hoping to do some work for that building. So for stage 2, we actually have it broken down into 2 different sections. The first one is going to be to replace the roof, as well as to fully renovate one of the multi-stall bathrooms. As far as the roof goes, it is about 20 years old, and we have been patching it significantly. I think over the last few years, it's been kind of almost like a whack-a-mole situation, depending on the way the storms are. And we're kind of, now that we've put a significant amount of money into a portion of the building, when I come in and I see, ceiling tiles that have water on them, it's very frustrating. So, but we are doing our best, and we have our roofing company out there all the time. As far as the multi-stall bathroom goes, it is original from 1988. And so there are many updates that need to be done in order to make it ADA compliant. The second part of stage 2 is actually going to be renovating the program spaces to meet the needs of today's day services, taking large style classrooms and actually building walls and dividing them up. And so they're not such significantly so big. The estimated occupancy, we hope to support 60 plus people in that building. Again, people will come and go. They're not going to be there all day. And we'll have about 42 support staff on hand. On the next page, Key talks about our past support with CDBG. Receiving those grants have really brought us to the next level with employment services. Employment services is something that we have always taken quality over quantity. And so when you actually take a person, take their strengths, take their goals, and then you go find them a job instead of just plucking a job out and trying to match a person to it. It takes a lot of work. There's a lot of training that goes in, both for the person receiving services to gain independence with transportation, as well as for the support staff on how to best assist someone with navigating employment services. On the following page, it just talks about how, so really for stage 2A is what we're looking for the CDBG. It's going to be the renovation, or it's going to be the renovation of the roof as well as the multi-stall bathroom. When in here, I do have a couple of quotes that I've already received that just talks about everything that will be required. There is some drainage that needs to be done in the bathroom, replacing the roof, adding a little bit of a pitch so that way we can help with some drainage on it. It is a flat roof, a flat rubber roof, and so we want to put a little bit of a pitch just to help some of the drainage on there. And an estimated budget. And again, the purple just shows exactly where those bathrooms are on there. Regarding timeline and milestones, so I'm the kind of person that I typically only look as far as my nose. And so to look into winter of 2026 just seems light years away for me. But I recognize, especially with the project that we've done so far at Pichillo, you blink your eye and before you know it, it is next year. So this is kind of where we are now. The clinical support team, including myself, we are in Pichillo. So we are, as of today, we are on time submitting the application for this. Hopefully, if it does get approved, then we can start construction this fall, this winter. And then following then when we would be taking a step at the next stage on there. So I will say that many of these documents that you have on here, we've put a lot of effort into these documents, but I can say for myself that I know the Fogarty Center. I don't know CDBG grants, and I definitely don't know anything about roofs, and I've been learning, but I will say that many of these are still in a draft form. So I'm sure that over the next few weeks, before we actually do submit the final application, things will be changed and I would welcome any sort of feedback that you may have about things that, you know, as far as especially regarding roofs, I really don't know too much. I've been leaning on many, many other people to get that information. So there are a couple other documents that are in here. We do have a draft of our RFP. Again, I appreciate Cade for really just looking online and just scouring everything we can get about how to best support and how to develop an RFP. And then the other one is going to be an intake form. So we've, as you know, as you've heard, we've submitted previous CDBG grants, and we were able to utilize the fact that the people that we support are all receive Medicaid funding. It is presumed that they are all going to be low income. And so we're hopeful that we can actually use that intake form to show the income levels for the people that we support. So with that, I know it was very lengthy. We are open to any questions, feedback, comments that the planning board has.
I don't have any questions at this time, but I do want to acknowledge the effort that it took your organization to prepare this document and just your time tonight in explaining the services that Fogarty Center does provide, and specifically your goal in the opening up the Pacillo building again. But I'll open up to my fellow board members if you guys have any questions or comments at this time. I'm hearing none, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So the public hearing for the CDBG grant applications is still open. If there's anybody else in the public that would like to speak or have a grant application in mind or a project, please do so now. I'm seeing none, so we'll close the public hearing at 7:11 p.m. Okay, next on the agenda is the review of the capital improvements budget. Like, we can't hear you. Can you come up, Maria?
So one thing regarding the CBDG that I forgot to mention the early presentation that the mayor want to consider is the historical society building. The roof is about to, to collapse. So they are in very precarious conditions, and he would like to have the public to be able to know if that would be another project that they would be like to be able to include into this CDDG rounding, so that way they can help them because they haven't reached out. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for updating us on the
Thank you.
three projects that the mayor, has in mind. Okay, item number 5 on tonight's agenda, capital improvement budget recommendation to the town council regarding the town's capital improvement budget fiscal year 2026 to 2030. We do have the proposed budget in our packet, and Brent, can you remind me who prepares this budget?
So I prepare this budget. All the department heads throughout town send me their proposals. I compile it into this spreadsheet. And yeah, I invited all the department heads tonight, but unfortunately I don't see me here, so.
So you collect the data that is given to you and organize it in this matrix. All the information here is provided to you by other departments, and nobody, is anybody from the town departments who prepared or provided for this budget present and would like to present? I'm seeing none. Well, I think the precedent is for this board in regarding this specific agenda item is that it's very challenging for us to understand. I think the genesis of the budgets and the various line items without um, without being, I think, better informed or presented to us. But I'll open up for discussion. We can start on this side. Steve?
No questions.
No.
Thank you.
No questions.
Warren, do you have any thoughts or questions on the matter?
No, that.
Brent, thank you for inviting the various departments to come and present. They elected not to, so again, this is just a recommendation to the council. I think in years past, no, I'm sorry, there is no public hearing for this, correct?
No, there's no.
No public hearing, so,
You're just making a finding.
yep. Okay.
If you can.
If we can. So I think in years past, we have had precedent where we have three options here, or a positive recommendation, a negative recommendation. Of course, both of those can come with comment. And I do believe the third is a neutral,
No recommendation.
no recommendation. So I'll open it up to my planning board members to ponder that, discuss, and or make a motion.
I think in years past, Brent, correct me if I'm wrong, we've never had any department heads here.
We haven't. I believe the board initially started requesting the department heads attend the meeting, maybe 3 years ago, but since then I've invited them every year and generally we don't have any attendance.
Yeah, which is disappointing.
Yep.
The only comment that I have is, this is the capital improvement budget. We're looking ahead 5 years on what it's gonna cost us. And I'm gonna say that most of the departments have, they continue to budget themselves a certain amount each year, building up to the point where I brought it up last year. I remember the library wanted to buy a $200 typewriter, and they put in the budget every year for $40 or something, so that when they got enough money, they could buy the typewriter. Some of the departments just, okay, we need $200,000 this year for this one item instead of budgeting. You know, is it our job to police this before it gets to the council? Or is it, do we make note that some departments have not budgeted for the capital improvement budget over fiscal periods?
Warren, I don't know necessarily that it is our responsibility to police the budget. I think we're found in a challenging spot that we see line items and budget allocated to the line items, yet we have no further explanation other than what's presented to us on paper.
So do we give it a positive and send it to the council and say, hey, we approve of what they're doing, but
I don't,
money tied to it?
me personally, I don't see how we can make a recommendation in one manner or the other, without further information. So in years past previously, we have voted for not to provide a recommendation to the council.
With a note that said says that you have no context.
Correct. So my suggestion would be that, we could, make a motion to, not
Decline.
to decline to recommend, to decline to provide a recommendation to the town council with the comment that we have no context to, the budget presented before us. So do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
And do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm hearing none. The ayes have it. That takes us through our agenda for tonight. Do I hear a motion to, I don't know, Brent, do you have any, that was it, right?
No
That
report
was-
this month.
No report. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Thank you very much, members of the public, for joining us tonight.